Hello, everyone, and welcome to the All Four Downs podcast. I'm Ovi Muniz. And today's episode, we're going to be talking about some coaches on the hot seat and already a couple of coaches being fired mid-season. We're going to compare the top 25 with the committee. Did they get it right this time? And also some solid picks for this weekend. We got that and much, much more. And I'm bringing in Joe Aguirre here. Hey, big news here.
They got it right.
Jimbo Fisher is the richest man of any coach being fired at their job.
This is so ridiculous. And I'll get to it later. This is so
I knew that got you buzzing. I knew
what,
it got you
what
buzzing.
you know what though? Like, honest to God, they thought that guy was gonna bring them the glory. Really? Jimbo Fisher? They thought that guy was the heat. Come on.
Well,
you get what you pay for.
When you pay someone a lot of money, you might not get the 100% value of that person because the person is comfortable. We know that with professional athletes, you pay a baseball player a guaranteed $200 million or more, and their product goes down. You give a coach 10 years for so much money, and then you give an extension with nothing to prove. Well, there you go.
By the way,
it's not
winning
a surprise.
Winning football in the ACC is not an indication things will go well for you in the SEC. And
I don't
this
think
is
any
another
conference is good for when they transfer over to the SEC.
There you go.
You know who's living large?
This guy's been out of his element from day one.
Well, he ain't no Saban, the guy that led the team to LSU to leave to the NFL and come back to Alabama and continue on his winning streak, right? He is not Kirby Smart. Well, definitely, he is. He's not that smart. That's why he's fired.
Rich. because
actually, you know what? He was smart because he knew. And you know what? Coaches know when they're on the hot seat ready to go. And that's why they got those contracts that guarantee once they get fired, they get paid. All right. You know who else is not making that much money? Is James Franklin. I mean, this guy's 1-9 versus Ohio State, 3-7 versus Michigan. Look, he's not winning, but yet you went ahead and fired your offensive coordinator, Mike Yurcich, all right, who spent the season since 2021. Franklin's been the coach for longer than that, and yet you're not going to fire him, okay? James Franklin's not going to get Penn State the promised land because he can't pass Ohio State and Michigan. So why are they wasting their time?
Look, we've said this repeatedly. He's got a team that is inferior to Ohio State and Michigan, but is also leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else, which just goes to show how much better Ohio State and Michigan is than all the bottom feeders in the Big Ten. The Big Ten, it needs the infusion it's getting. And like I've said, that's only going to be worse for Penn State. Penn State just signed up for another couple losses every season.
Oh, absolutely. Guaranteed.
That's all they signed up for.
Right. You know who else signed up for firing? Well, we'll hold off on that one. But this guy should get fired and go to Hollywood because I was not intrigued by their emotions. I'm not. Sharon Moore crying on live television during the post interview. He deserves an Oscar and an Emmy Award for the best act, the best emotions you could do after a football game. Get out of here. Just stop. Okay? Just stop right there. All right. That's not going to help. It's an embarrassing to you and to the organization. There's much more I could say about this, but I'm just going to keep it PG and leave it at that.
Well, they're so dumb. because here's the thing, and I hate this idea of like, and it was the same thing with Colorado. Like everybody's picking on us, everybody, we're a team. Like, shut up. If you didn't do the stupid things that you do,
Mm-hmm.
people would root for you. That's how it works. But when you do the things that you do, when you act
Mm-hmm.
the way that you act, and then you get busted, and it's like they're after us. It's like, well, yeah, because you're breaking the rules, you morons. Come on, give me a break with that.
They need to go to the University of New England Patriots and get with
Yeah,
Bill Belichick and be like, "This is how you handle the situation." I'm getting ready for the next game. Getting
yeah.
ready for the
Also,
next game.
stop breaking the rules. Coach Harbaugh breaks the rules a lot, and he gets in trouble. And it's like, yeah, we're gonna do it for Coach Harbaugh. Yeah, stop breaking the rules. Then you won't have to miss so many games.
Well, Boise State decided to fire Andy Avalos. Avalos, that's right. After 22-14 record. Now that's pretty impressive, but not good enough for Boise State. They currently now are 5-5, 4-2 in the conference. 4-2 in the conference, and you're firing this guy. There's something not being said behind the scene as to why he is getting fired. We
Yeah,
might find out 5 or 6 years later.
that's
Just saying.
interesting.
Just
Yeah, I
saying.
mean, well, look, I think if you're Boise State, they had a nice run some years ago. I think they think or feel like they could be playing at a higher level, and
Well,
maybe this
right.
just isn't the guy. That's 22-14 is, I mean, it's all right. It's
Yeah, I
nothing
think
to
it's
write
good enough
home
for
about.
the what's it, Midwest Conference? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good enough, but not good enough because again, they used to be the power team in there that would run the place, and they lost their coach, went on to coach somewhere else, and it is what it is. But as always, you're only good as what you are in your conference, and if you were to play against SEC teams, it'll be much worse. So, but coaches in the hot seat. Let's look at Houston's Dana Holgerson, man. This guy's 4-6, 2-5 in the Big 12. Yeah,
And
I
he looks
understand this is
like
their first
that.
year. This is his first year. I got it.
Yeah.
And I got to witness him coaching when they used to play UConn. And dude's very effective. He'll cuss you out in a heartbeat if you're not really doing your job. But how long will they have him there? I know it's the first year in the Big 12. Might make some improvement next year, but his is more downhill than up. Another person is Chip Kelly.
Wait,
Yeah,
hold
you
on. Can you just
go
go
ahead.
back for a minute?
All right.
On the left, he looks like the guy who installs your cable. And on the right, he looks like the guy who installs your cable on bowling night.
Oh, there you go. Hey, sometimes the hair situation is getting me right there. I think he
Dude, this
fired
guy,
himself.
if this guy wants to get paid a lot of money to be a head coach somewhere, like, I don't know, get a haircut,
Ah,
smile. You look
he'd
like a
be all right.
clown. That's no good.
Chip Kelly did an awesome job with Oregon. And this is one of the reasons why I say, you know what, you were better off staying where you're supposed to be. You were successful. You were targeted as one of the best coaches. You had the organization ready. I mean, impressive. Look overall record 10-3, 12-1, 12-2, 12-1, all with Oregon. Then you go ahead and you go to the NFL, that didn't work. So you come back, and that's the product you have for UCLA. It's just not working for you. And you're now going to the Big Ten. I'm sorry, but not sorry. You got to go.
Yeah.
Moving
I
on.
mean, they'll beat Penn
Oh,
State, but that's about it.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
All right, the top 25 comparisons to what was just announced of the college football committee. And we're going to start with 21-25. I have SMU, Notre Dame, Iowa, James Madison, and Utah. However, on the other side, they have Kansas State, Utah, Oklahoma State, Tulane, and Kansas. I got Tulane higher up. Why? Because they deserve it. I mean, these guys have the best defense in the American Athletic Conference. No one's talking about them. And there's another school they don't talk about, but I want the best of the best. If they're leading their conference, let's have them being recognized in the top 25. I don't care what happens in week 1, 2, or 3, because those are like almost like preseason. But once you get to this situation right now during weeks 10, 11, and 12, and towards the end of the season, you're getting better. You're playing better football. Okay. So the comments that you guys made about my top 25, why you got this guy, because they're getting better. Just because you're sold by the media, that doesn't necessarily mean that's what it is. And I got a feeling that the college football committee is looking at these resumes, and in the bottom, you're just doing fill-ins and you're not doing justice for schools that really deserve to be in the top 25. Kansas does not deserve to be in the top 25. 7-3, they're not even leading their Big 12 conference. Stop it already. Okay. Yep. Put somebody that deserves it. Oklahoma State, an embarrassment. They got shut down by UCF.
Yeah,
and you're going to put them in the top 25.
Oklahoma State should be out of the top 25 permanently.
I'm just like I said, they were on top, but once they got smacked them out UCF,
Yo, by the way,
made Texas look good.
By the way, did you see how it was reported? UFC upsets Oklahoma. You don't upset somebody 45-3. They kick your ass. Upset. Give me a break.
16-20. I have North Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma, Liberty, and Penn State. Oh, I don't see Liberty in the top 25. Why is that? A team that was independent to go over to the Conference USA and run the show. Fresh teams, fresh everything, and they're still winning. They were winning when they were independent, and they continue winning now. They're 10-0 for a reason. Okay. Notre Dame, I had them lower. Tennessee came from a loss.
Yeah,
and
they're obsessed. They're obsessed with Notre Dame and keeping Notre Dame in the top 20 for some reason. And every big game Notre Dame's had this year, they've lost.
Iowa at 16.
No.
I did say that they were averaging 8.5 and a couple of games prior. This past Saturday, they actually scored 22 points.
Still the under, though.
Wow. Just saying. Arizona, well-deserved. And we'll get to them shortly as we go ahead and go through 11-15. I have Arizona at 14. I have them over because they've won 3 straight top 25 teams in convincing fashion. Yeah, they're 3-2 overall against the top 25. All of it, of course, within the Pac-12.
But I don't like them in front of Oregon State. That's ridiculous.
But they beat Oregon State.
I know.
They beat them, though. But they continue to win and better at winning. That is so amazing. I just hope they continue and cause ruckus there in the Pac-12 because they still have a chance to go to the Pac-12 championship if they win out. All right. Now, I know Tulane and Toledo overreached. But if you look at it, I've been having them there in the bottom of the rankings for a while. And when teams are losing, somebody has to go up. I'm just saying, Mizzou made it to the top 10 in the college football rankings. They're 11 in my book. Okay. Moving on to 7-10. Alabama, Texas, Louisville, Ole Miss. Yes. Okay, I got it. Texas beat Alabama head to head. Texas should be, and no question about it. But if you look at the last 3 games of Texas, okay, and the last 2 itself, they let the teams outscore them in the fourth quarter. It's almost like, and the commentators said it today. They are like seeking to lose, I guess. Are they wanting to lose? They have a large lead, and next thing you know, in the fourth quarter, the team is coming back. But Alabama, on the other hand, they're looking strong. Or is it just a one-man show? That we have to wait and see in the SEC championship. Mizzou number 9, Louisville. I got Louisville at 9, so whatever, it's cool. Ole Miss no longer in the top 10 for them, but I still respect Ole Miss. I still think that they're good. They just weren't good enough against Georgia, but I still think they're one of the best 2-loss teams in the nation. Now, college football top 6. Here we go. And the only difference for them was Georgia's number one because of the ass whooping they gave to Ole Miss, right? And Ohio State's number two. Everything else stayed the same, in which I disagree. So you're going to tell me that Florida State has a better resume than Washington Huskies? I am sorry. I disagree. Okay. Washington has played the most top 25 teams out of all six right there. And they're undefeated. And it's very hard to stay undefeated in the Pac 12. Okay. I'm sorry. I just don't agree with the committee how they're handling it. You talk about resume, you talk about head to head and everything else. Washington 10-0 compared to Florida State 10-0. The teams that they've beaten from the very beginning of the season are not in the top 25. And if not, they're like ranked down below. Stop. I just don't get it. I really don't. And if you put Missouri on top in the top 10 to push Georgia at number one, Washington, they got at least four teams that they defeated still in the top 25. So why are you not putting Washington in the top four?
Yeah, I agree with you. And that is quite the resume. And not to mention Florida State, ACC. Give me a break.
ACC is garbage.
It's garbage. It's garbage football. And not for nothing, but Alabama would be everybody on that list except for Georgia.
I believe so. And you know what?
Why they're sitting where they're sitting is beyond me. How Oregon snuck all the way up like this.
No, but I've had Oregon at number 6 for a while.
I understand
that was a great game, and we might see that rematch again between Washington and Oregon. That could be another possibility.
Yeah, listen, but if we're being honest, Alabama would squash them. Alabama would squash Washington.
I don't know about
Alabama
Oregon.
would squash Florida State. Alabama would beat Michigan, and they would beat Ohio State.
I got a feeling with Oregon and that defense, I think they're able to trap Milroe. I really do, because Milroe is scoring all the points for Alabama. You limit him, and Alabama will go back to the first 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah, and if anybody would have stopped Michael Jordan, he wouldn't have won 6 championships. I mean, that's great. It's good you know how to stop it, but I don't think anyone's stopping Milroe right now the way that kid's playing.
Football's a little bit different. I mean, Michael Jordan, I mean, he took care of the generation before him and his current generation. I mean, he was part of the dream team and made it known that he was the man. And anyway, we're going off topic here, but Georgia number one. I am happy, but I'm still not happy, not satisfied as to why Washington is not in the top 4. They do deserve to be in the top 4.
Well, again, they're trying to protect the Big Ten.
And this year, yes, I think the last 2 seasons we've seen how they're protecting Ohio State and Michigan because they had 2 Big Tens last year. Yeah. Okay. And the fact that were they wanting to see Georgia and Ohio State in the finals. That's exactly what they're gearing to. Oh, yeah. What happened last year? Well, last year was last year, and they don't have CJ Stroud. So let's stop it right there. We don't have Stetson Bennett anymore. So let's stop that there. Okay. But what you do have is, well, you said before, the best program in the nation as of right now is the Georgia Bulldogs. So, but hey, these are my top 25. I'm looking good right here with my top 6, regardless of the situation. I just hope that we do have 4 conference championships that's well-deserved in there. I just got a gut feeling that it might not so, depending on the Ohio State and Michigan outcome. I really do.
I like it. I like your poll. And I like your playoff. I like it all. I'm a fan. I feel like you've done the work. I feel like you honor the teams that are playing well this time of the year.
And I appreciate you. This is probably the first. Well, you said it before you liked it, but this one, I'm like, okay, you really liked it because years before you never liked my picks. Maybe because you had the haterade of Georgia, but now you are respecting the game. So I like that. I like that. Thank you very much.
Well, you shoot it straight. Mm-hmm. You're consistent. You make sense.
I
I don't
try.
think I don't think you show any real bias in doing it.
No, absolutely
And I
not.
think that
I
I
take it
think
by quarter.
that's
I'm
yeah, I
switching
think
channels.
that's
I'm watching these games.
the way you do it.
Yeah,
I
that's
respect
it.
it.
That's it. Now it's time for some picks. You ready?
Oh yeah.
All right, there ain't that much games because there's a lot of lopsided games, but I am intrigued by a lot of 5-5 teams going after each other. Oh yeah. However, let's start with the most important game there is, and it's the Georgia Bulldogs versus the Tennessee Volunteers. Georgia going on the road before they finish off with Georgia Tech the following week. But the Bulldogs are going to make some noise. Now they better. I'm just saying they better whip on Tennessee. Uh I just sometimes, when they finally address that you're doing good, and then all of a sudden you almost about to bomb something, but I don't think so. Kevin Smart got this team ready. They really don't care about the rankings. They want a third championship. The winning streak is on the line. The Bulldogs will take care of business.
Yeah, Georgia 42-17-ish kind of
Mm.
a game. That it'll be a
It'll be worse than last year when they thought Hendon Hooker was gonna do something,
yeah,
and
right.
and then
Remember?
they his feelings got hurt that he got taken out the game. So Utah versus Arizona. Utah coming up from a mad devastating loss. I mean, they couldn't handle Washington, but here is the next rising team over there in the Pac-12, Arizona, making some noise. I'm actually going for Arizona at home.
Yeah, Utah's unfortunately not a four-loss team, and it makes more sense the way Arizona started the season. I think Utah wins a close one in Arizona.
I think also Utah is really feeling it that Cam Rising is not starting. Remember, he was their leader for the last couple of seasons, and him being out because of injury. Guess he didn't make a full recovery. But it sucks because Utah is a good school, but Arizona seems like they just flipped the switch, man, and they're doing awesome. Kansas State versus Kansas. This is an awesome rivalry right here. Um, I've been hitting on Kansas bad, but I'm taking Kansas State to win this game.
I would bet in the history of this rivalry
Mm-hmm.
that these teams have been 7-3, 6-4, and 5-5 every single time they've ever met. And it's funny, both of these
Except,
schools.
hold on. Except for Les Miles when he was the coach of Kansas, he just took that team to the down to the cellar.
Yeah. It just seems to me that these teams always everybody wants to put them in the rankings every year. They're always pretty much okay. And then you get to this game and it's like they were both mediocre by season's end. That's what ends up happening. I'm gonna give it to Kansas because they're at home to
Okay,
beat State. Close game, mid-20s.
gotcha. I got feeling this is going to be a high scoring game. It's going to be
I got a
over 50.
27-24. You think that high?
Yeah, I think so. This is going to be a good rivalry game. I really do. But Kansas State is going to pull it out. Washington at Oregon State. This is going to be awesome because DJ Ugalele will be starting in this game. It's at Oregon. So it's close by. I mean, you're
Mm.
gonna see both fans on both sides. I hope I have to go for Washington. I have to support that team for the comments I made that they deserve to be in the top four. They're gonna continue. Oregon State is a ranked team, okay. But it'll be devastating for Washington to lose because that will eliminate the Pac-12 for even coming close to the college football playoffs. This is a must win for Washington.
Yeah, and the Beavers are going to upset them and win the game.
Really?
Yeah. Come on, I love the Beavers.
Ah,
I'm a Beaver guy, always have been. I think the Beavs come through here. They're in Corvallis. Having a heck of a season at 8-2, by the way,
yeah.
Um Does this Washington team strike you as a team that's going to go undefeated? Be honest.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
it's not.
Yes. This
This
is this
also
is it
sets
right
up an
here.
interesting scenario where does Texas and Alabama move in if some
And
of these teams move out? So that's going to
dude,
be
Washington
interesting.
had many opportunities to lose and find ways to win.
Yeah.
They did it with Oregon. It was a close game between them and Utah until they actually separated themselves, right? Most of these games they start close and they just find a way to run away with it. And I don't think there's going to be any difference between them and Oregon State. They really need, and again, I think Washington got so much power and that offense, So again,
I
it all
don't think
depends.
you understand how orange it's going to be in Corvallis. It's going to
I
feel
don't.
like a pumpkin patch.
You know what
And
happens
Michael
to
Penix
oranges?
Jr., who's 31 years old, has been
I
in
mean,
college since 1997. He went to college. Michael Penix Jr. was in college with Peyton Manning. That's how long he's been at
oh hell.
university.
Let me tell you this. You ready?
Yeah.
You're in boxing. You know what happened. You know what color it is? Black and blue color, right?
Yeah.
What's the black and blue color? What color is that? What that equal to?
I guess like a purple.
Exactly. That's exactly
Yeah.
what's gonna happen.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
SMU versus Memphis. Now, these two teams are going to collide to get their chance to be on top of the American Athletic Conference, along with UTSA and Tulane. I got MSU winning over Memphis. They're going to take away that equation.
Memphis at home. I don't know. I feel like the Cougars are ready to pounce.
Mm, mm-mm. You know, if it's a three-way tie, I'm just curious to see how they're going to figure that one out when everybody's tied, and yet none of the top three teams are going to face each other in the season. This
Oh,
is what I
good
don't
Lord.
like. Everything consolidated. They should have had a division here, but the equation goes, and I'm going on a slim margin with MSU. You got Memphis. All right. UNLV versus Air Force. This is for the top of the Midwest Conference. Air Force going backwards. I think UNLV will pull up an upset and defeat Air Force.
Really?
Air Force couldn't beat Army. Just
Well,
saying.
they had a hiccup in the road to an otherwise spectacular season.
They couldn't aim high,
UNLV,
so they're
not for
gonna level
nothing.
down low.
Yeah, listen, UNLV, that's a basketball school. I'm going to
Okay.
take Air Force to beat a basketball school.
Air Force is the military. Yeah. Okay. Go Army. All right. I told you there's a lot of 5-5 games. Let's start off with UCF versus Texas Tech.
UCF, it's got to be feeling pretty good. They're hot. I'm going to say UCF wins another one, gets to 6-5. Yeah, right.
Okay.
That gets them into a bowl game too. Texas
Yeah,
Tech
these
doesn't
are all
deserve it.
bowl clinchers right here, right?
Yeah,
I'm taking Texas Tech. I think UCF celebrated too much. They got hung over, and they don't got enough for Texas Tech. So I'm
nah, that'd be
taking
a
the Red
bummer.
Raiders. Marshall versus South Alabama. I'm taking Marshall for the upset here.
Oh,
Or is it an upset? I shouldn't call it an upset,
it
right?
probably would be an upset. I'm going to take
Because they're in
South
South
Alabama
Alabama.
at home, baby. Yeah, with
All right.
a
Really?
yeah, of
All right.
course.
South
Yeah.
South Alabama. They're gonna go to Piggly Wiggly and shop around. Okay. Boise State versus Utah State. And again, I'm gonna go for Utah State because Boise State just fired their head coach.
Boise State fired their head coach because they're ready to do some winning. They want to get this thing done, lock up the Mountain West. They do it this week at Utah State.
All right, keep dreaming.
Don't be a hater.
The once popular school ever in the 90s was Nebraska. They go on the road against Wisconsin. Both of them identical, 5-5, 3-4. Nobody wants to be in the West Division over there in the Big Ten. They pass it on to Iowa, so they're both going to be chilling. Said, "Hey, how you doing?" But I'm going for the home team. Wisconsin wins.
I got you on that one. I'm going to say Wisconsin wins. Nebraska is such a disaster. It's so disappointing. They were so good for most of my life growing up, man. Nebraska was like the best in college football, and now it's trash.
You
And
know,
even worse, it's in the Big Ten.
I found out from Buckeyes Jones, by the way, who was a star player in New Britain High School in the 90s, who went to Syracuse and
Yeah.
then ended up playing for the Super Bowl champions New England Patriots. And he said that he was so close to signing for Nebraska. And then he changed his mind for other reasons. So tune into All Four Downs. Go ahead and look up Buckeyes Jones, the
Did,
former secondary of the New England Patriots.
did Buckeyes Jones mention he got stuck 3 times at the goal line by me in
He does.
1993 when he was Connecticut Player of the Year? He
I asked him if
doesn't
he
have to
knew you.
remember it. He doesn't have to remember it. That's fine, but it happened. It's
It happened.
legendary in Meriden.
It's legendary.
Hammer and Hank Thomas backed me up on a Facebook post about how I stuck his ass 3 times, and it was actually Hank Thomas, all-pro linebacker, who he ran over on 4th down, and they beat us 14-7. That's how I remember it.
Well, I was in that game because I went to every game as a band member. So,
Oh, you
I
guys
missed
were
that
pretty good.
No, we were awesome. But speaking about him going to Syracuse, Syracuse needs a win to make it to the bowl game, and they go against Georgia Tech. Both of them 5-5. However, Georgia Tech's 4-3 in the conference, and Syracuse in 1-5. And I know you're a good Orangeman, but I'm gonna go against you and pick Georgia Tech to win at home.
Syracuse is going to salvage the season, get bowl eligible with a win here.
Yeah, they can wait next week for that, but right now they're not going to win.
They're going to win.
Georgia Tech needs to feel better because the next game they're not going to have that opportunity because they go against the Georgia Bulldogs.
Oh,
that's why the Georgia Tech got to win this game.
Yeah. That's too bad for Georgia Tech. 5-7. It's a bummer.
All right, 4th down, final whistle. Here we go.
Oh, boy.
Take it away, my friend.
Thanks, Ovi. The firing of Jimbo Fisher will reportedly cost Texas A&M University about $77 million as they buy out the contract. It's the biggest buyout in college football history by a lot. You know, Texas A&M hasn't won a national championship since 1939. I actually thought this was the guy. When Fisher was first named head coach back in 2017, he was given a 10-year, $75 million contract. No state-appropriated funds, by the way, used towards his salary. Means it's all coming from the university. In 2021, Fisher's contract was extended 4 more years through 2031, $9 million a season because they were afraid they might lose him. 2 years later, the Aggies are 6-4, 4-3 in the Southeastern Conference. It's another disappointing season. All told, Fisher was 45-25 in his 6 seasons at Texas A&M. That's not bad. That's not bad, but that's not what they thought they were getting. Did anyone really think this guy had a chance? Again, ACC football. Texas A&M was never going to compete in the SEC, and certainly not with Jimbo. And it's going to be a whole lot tougher for them once they write that $77 million check to Fisher. Jimbo fished. It's like getting catfished, only less embarrassing. Thank you for joining us for Ovi Muniz. I am Joe McGuire. We will catch you next week for All Four Downs.